I found an unsigned envelope in my mailbox. An ordinary white envelope. There was no stamp or address on it. Inside was a square Polaroid photo. There's a girl on it, pale as a ghost, in a snow-white off-the-shoulder dress. She seemed to be asleep, sitting in an armchair with her head back. Her skin looked like porcelain, and her delicate features looked as if they were carved from marble. Her long eyelashes are curled and tinted with mascara. The lips are full and red, slightly parted. Her face is framed by black hair, smooth as silk. Hands with thin fingers, relaxed, spread out to the sides. This girl was undoubtedly beautiful, but even the static picture betrayed her unnatural immobility. There was something strange about her posture, something inanimate. On the back of the photo, someone wrote by hand, "Keep a secret, it will save her life." Those words sent an icy chill through me. I stared at the photo for a long time, unable to take my eyes off it. Who is this girl? Where is she? What kind of secret should be kept? And what kind of person put this in my mailbox? And if this is a joke, it's pretty creepy. I threw the photo in the trash, but then I took it out and put it in the closet. I had a feeling that it wasn't that simple. A week has passed. I had almost forgotten about the strange envelope with the photo. Life went on as usual. But as I checked the mailbox, my chest was fluttering with excitement. I was hoping, without an address and without a stamp. I opened it at home, and I broke out in an icy sweat. There's another photo inside. She was still the same girl, the same pose, but her skin wasn't as porcelain anymore. It has become a little bluish, with greenish shades appearing. The delicate features of his face already showed signs of decay. Dark circles appeared under her eyes, and her lips were dry. The thin lace dress seemed to stick to her body, and a deep-cut wound was clearly visible just below her neck. It was black, with uneven edges. Is this some kind of makeup? Or maybe Photoshop? But the picture was taken with an instant print camera. A fake? Or is she really dead? I painfully swallowed the lump in my throat and tried to calm down, but thoughts kept spinning in my head. Did someone take a picture of the girl's corpse? The murdered girl. This was indicated by the vertical wound on her chest. I took out the photo I got last week from the closet and put both pictures side by side on the table. There was a wound in the first image. I just didn't notice it. The incision seemed as thin as a thread, but now that decomposition has begun, the edges of the skin have spread a little. If the girl was killed, then she couldn't have been wearing that dress at the time of her death. The blood would have soaked the fabric. There would have been stains. Someone stabbed this beauty, then carefully washed her body, put her hair in order, tinted her eyelashes, and dressed her in a white dress. He sat her down in a chair and took a picture. And a week later, I took another picture. Both images have the same angle. So the camera was in one place, most likely on a tripod. I looked at the pictures over and over again. The first, a girl with porcelain white skin. It was as if she had just taken her last breath. Second, blue skin with greenish shades. You can say two different faces. This is some kind of horror. I turned the photos over. I read the inscription again. Keep a secret, it will save her life. But how can you save the life of someone who is already dead? There was no inscription on the second photo. And what should I do about it? Should I take the pictures to the police? Perhaps the investigators will be able to take fingerprints or find the author by signature. But I didn't understand the game of a sick mind. Suddenly, he's waiting for my reaction, waiting for a response. Anyone else would have gone to the police immediately. And the killer knows it. He's just waiting for it. The words, "keep a secret," can sound like a threat. Someone was obviously playing with me. He wanted to watch and enjoy my fear. What if I pretend that I took the envelopes, but didn't open them, but just threw them in the trash? Will he check and dig through the trash? Let whoever does this not get my reaction. Let him meet me on the street and see an impenetrable face. It's like playing poker. If the girl in the photos is really dead, then there's no help for her. I will not become a participant in this story. Now, there were 2 pictures in my closet. I was going to get rid of them later, of course. My house was located in the city center. There are always a lot of people there. Dozens of faces every single day. The sender of the envelope could have been anyone. Suspect whoever you want. Another week passed, and as if by itself, a new envelope appeared in the mailbox. A flame burned in my chest, but I tried to breathe evenly. Suddenly, I'm being watched right now. Indifferently, he took the envelope and slowly climbed the stairs to his apartment. When the door slammed shut, you could let your emotions run wild. Her fingers were trembling with excitement, hiding the envelope. I looked at the picture and my stomach twisted. The girl in the photo has changed so much. The skin turned completely green. Cloudy pupils appeared from under the closed eyelids. Her hair seemed to have faded. Her cheeks were sunken. Her body was shrunken. The edge of her dress had slightly slipped off her chest, and her stomach, on the contrary, had swollen. The wound on his chest widened, and the bones of his ribs were already visible through the open pockets. She decomposed while sitting in an armchair. I put the picture on the table, but the feeling remained on my fingertips, as if from contact with something nasty. I wanted to wash my hands with soap and rinse my eyes at the same time to erase the terrible image of the deceased. Whoever sent me these pictures is a real psychopath. I can't even bear to look at it. And that person is in the same room with a corpse, feels a putrid smell, and there is nothing special about it for him. This psychopath has an advantage over me. He didn't feel disgust or horror, but those feelings were killing me. In order to outplay him and not betray my emotions, I had to learn to perceive what was happening the same way he did. Looking at corpses, feeling nothing. You need to play this game by your own rules. Become a hunter, not a victim. Let the attacker give himself away in a careless move. The time will come, and he will pay for what he has done. I took the other pictures out of the closet and put them in a row on the table. I looked at this story in 3 frames. A beautiful, pale girl. Then it gets creepy, and then it turns into terrifying. This story shouldn't be reflected on my face when I walk down the street. It was necessary to somehow turn off my feelings, to stop perceiving the pictures as reality, even knowing that they were printed in the same room in which the corpse is located. Background: an old armchair with green upholstery and wooden armrests. There are yellow buds on the wallpaper. The room is flooded with sunlight on the right, so there's a window. The lighting in the photos is almost the same, so they were made at about the same time. That's all the images could tell. Another week on pins and needles. But no one saw it. I looked at people on the streets without suspicion, smiled at acquaintances as usual, stroked cats in the yard. Even the most attentive person would hardly have noticed the change in me. It's a good thing no one can read minds. I saw a guy on the street who was staring in my direction, but I thought it was unlikely that this was the mysterious sender. The killers look like ordinary people. He wouldn't stare at me with a dumb expression with his mouth open. It would be possible to install a hidden camera in the entrance opposite the box, but the mysterious sender must have foreseen this. He'll notice and immediately realize that I'm in the game. I haven't asked anyone a single question in all these weeks. He didn't hint a single word in the box, as usual. There was no such fear as the first time, just curiosity. Maybe the sender left some special note, trying not to rustle the paper. The girl in the photo was almost unrecognizable. Her skin had turned brown, and there were white patches of mold in places. His face was shrunken, his lips compressed and turned out, revealing even white teeth. The eyeballs had leaked out and were hanging like mucus on his cheeks. Once, the white dress was soaked with brown corpse slime. The wound on his chest had split open more, and his ribs were already sticking out. There were some black dots in the frame. It was only upon closer inspection that I realized they were flies. And when I brought the picture right up to my eyes, I also noticed worms. They crawled through his black, licking hair, crawled over his shoulders, and swarmed into his mouth. A sickening abomination. But even when I was alone with myself, I didn't grimace and kept my eyes open. You need to be stronger than that. I've already accumulated several photos of a decomposing corpse in my closet. Sometimes I wanted to give up and take the evidence to the police. After all, it would be stupid if I got killed too, and I still haven't told anyone what I found in the mailbox. Could anyone have been trusted with this secret? Or just hint that I might disappear at any minute? I had a good friend, Lena. We've known each other since high school. She definitely wasn't connected to the killer. The girl is deeply empathic and won't hurt a fly. Remembering the flies in the room with the corpse, I suppressed a wave of nausea and then picked up the phone. Hello, Lena. You know, suddenly I wanted to eat pizza, but alone. It's kind of uninteresting. Why don't you come visit? Will we watch a movie? Lena agreed. She was always glad when someone was ready to stick their ears out for a story in her life. I wanted to tell her half a word, but when she came, I realized that I couldn't. It's just that the tongue won't turn, and that's it. It was my secret, just mine. Well, and that psychopath who sent pictures from week to week. I was listening to my friend, smiling as if I was having fun. I was munching on pizza as if I had an appetite, and I was thinking about the photos in the closet. I was terrified of the slightest chance that she would find them. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. For example, they just fall off the shelf and jump out onto the floor. I didn't show it, but I waited for the movie to end, for Lena to talk too much and say that I had been sitting too late. There are only crusts left in the box. My friend said that these were extra carbohydrates, and as a joke, I told the story of how one trucker killer was identified by just such pizza leftovers. What a thought I have. It feels strangely like I'm guilty of something, even though I didn't kill anyone. It's time for me to get ready, Lena said. I replied that we had a good time and we should meet again sometime, but in fact, I thought the opposite. The door closed. Loneliness again. I immediately felt better. Photo. They were there. They were lying on the closet shelf under a stack of t-shirts. A terrible mystery that only I have to solve. The world around us has turned into something hostile. It seemed that every smile, look, or word might have some hidden meaning. Which of the people around me is playing this game with me? I suspected everyone, neighbors, colleagues, random passers-by, even on the street. That's why I pulled away from people. No more guests, no more open conversations with friends. I spent all my free time locked in my apartment, as if I were guarding other people's evidence. Keep a secret, it will save her life. The only message left by the sender in the first photo. What does it mean anyway? It's about a dead girl. He records the story of her decay, hoping that she will resurrect. A complete lunatic. There's another envelope in my mailbox. I opened it with trepidation. It was no longer fear, but a feeling of impatience. The corpse had lost almost all its water and was shrinking. The upper part of the dress had slipped down to her stomach. My hair is peeling off. The picture was no longer of a girl, but of a practically skeletal figure covered in wrinkled, dark brown skin. Black round holes appeared in place of the eyes. Who was this girl's killer? Was she his lover, a sister, or just an acquaintance? Why did he kill her, and why did he decide to make this terrible spectacle? The killer went crazy because of what he did. Did he bring these photos because he wanted to be caught? All these questions were bothering me. I wanted to know what would happen next. I was no longer grimacing in disgust, but waiting for a new envelope every week, comparing the next picture with the previous one to see the differences. I was no longer ashamed of my curiosity. The fear had completely faded. All that remained was an alluring interest. I've lost my mind. Every time I unwrapped the envelope, I felt a strange anticipation. The girl in the pictures continued to decompose, but it turned out that the corpse would not survive indefinitely. The skin had completely dried out on the bones and turned black. The body turned into a mummy. The two pictures a week apart were only different in light, brighter on one, paler on the other. There was a caption on the back of the last photo that I didn't immediately notice. Another incomprehensible message. Turn back the clock. What kind of nonsense is this? A week has passed. The new envelope did not arrive. The sight of the empty box shocked me. Strange. It used to be the other way around. I didn't even notice that I had become addicted to these photos. I didn't understand why I was hopefully checking my inbox 10 times a day. Where's my envelope? Is this really the end, and the terrible mystery will remain unsolved? Another week has passed. The drawer remained empty. Another week, nothing again. I have accumulated 12 photos in my closet. 12 weeks. And that's how long it takes for a corpse to turn into a dry mummy. And why do I need this documentary history of decomposition? I could finally take the pictures to the police, but instead, I looked at them one by one, stacked them one by one, and quickly flipped through them. With a quick change of frames, the illusion was created that the corpse was rotting before our eyes, and it became clear that the body was not at all as motionless as it seemed. It turned out that the arms, shoulders, neck, and head were shrinking slightly to the sides, from frame to frame. The dead toss and turn in their eternal sleep. But thought flashed through my mind. I sat on the floor, sorting through the pictures like a deck of cards, knowing exactly the sequence of each one. All of them were studied inside and out, and I stacked them so that the last photo was at the bottom and the very first one at the top. Turn back the clock. That's what the sender wanted to say. The film is the opposite. I scrolled through the pictures so that the decomposition went in the opposite direction. The mummy became fuller. The putrefaction spots disappeared. The wrinkled brown skin turned blue, and then pale and smooth like porcelain. The dry corpse opened like a bud and turned into a beautiful flower. I could feel electric shocks running through my arms. It seemed to her that I could really turn back time. That beautiful girl with perfectly white skin was lying in the chair again. But she was still dead. This was indicated by the thin wound on her chest. I wanted to scroll through the pictures again, but he made a careless move. They slipped out of his hands and scattered on the carpet. I rushed to pick them up and saw that there was nothing else on them. The images disappeared, leaving only empty black squares. Realizing that not a single photo had survived, I suddenly felt the bitterness of loss. How could this happen? Why? I no longer had any evidence that this was actually happening, and the mystery could remain unsolved. No, not that. Now, those cards were useless. All that remains is to throw them in the trash and try to forget about all this. I was going crazy. He roamed the streets like a ghost. His eyes wandered aimlessly over the windows of the houses. In which of these apartments could these photos have been taken? Fragments of images were spinning in my head. Wrinkled skin, bony fingers, empty black eye sockets. In which of these rooms was she lying behind the curtains? I wish I could see the familiar wallpaper and yellow flower behind the curtains somewhere, but nothing like that. It's been more than a month, and I still couldn't give up my aimless search. And suddenly, a real miracle happened. I saw a girl. She was sitting at a table in a cafe on the summer veranda, pale, with delicate features, with black, shiny hair. She had a book in her hands, and her plump pink lips were pressed against a tube from which she was drinking a milkshake. This girl was not just similar, but an exact replica of the one I saw in the pictures, except that she was not in a white dress, but in a tight black t-shirt and jeans. I was transfixed, unable to take my eyes off her, afraid that if I turned away, she would disappear. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her piercingly bright eyes and smiled. "I don't know you. Have you seen me before?" "It's hard to say, but your face seems very familiar," I said as if in a dream. "It's like I've seen you in a photo before." "Did you say, in the photo?" she asked. "Yes, that's what he said." "And what's next? Just stand there and be silent?" You can't just tell a stranger on the street about how I received pictures of a decomposing corpse in the mail that looked like her. The beautiful woman looked at me and smiled. "You don't know what else to say?" "Yes, I feel confused," I replied. "Then ask about the book," she prompted. I pulled out a chair and sat down opposite. "What are you reading?" A stranger showed the cover of The Mystery of Edwin Drood. "Did you hear?" I shook my head, not sure if this is Dickens' last unfinished novel. She talked to me as if she had been waiting for this conversation. "Unfinished?" I asked. The girl nodded. "Yes, this is a detective story that has not been completed. Charles Dickens died after writing only half of the book." I finally caught my breath, got over my excitement, and put the memories of the photos out of my head. "So the novel has no ending?" "Why read it then? It happens that the endings of the story disappoint, but here you can turn on your imagination and come up with any ending." The girl smiled and looked into my eyes. I responded in kind. I didn't know that unfinished books were published. It's a classic. The girl stroked the spine of the book with her slender fingers. What familiar hands. "And I'm too curious. Unsolved mysteries hurt me," I said. The stranger raised her eyebrows. "So you're one of those people who always goes to the end." We chatted nonstop for an hour, switched to you, and introduced ourselves to each other. Her name was Marianne. Poetic images appeared in my head. I wanted to say that her name, like her eyes, resembled the sea. After leaving the cafe, we went for a walk through the streets, and probably looked like a couple in love. Glances, smiles, casual touches. I was fascinated and happy to see her alive. "This is my house," Marianne said, stopping in one bright courtyard. "I invite you to visit. Is it convenient? We just met," I reminded him. "But you're the kind of person who always goes to the end," she teased. I felt that something was wrong here, but there was no turning back. I'll leave now, and I may never know the answer. We went up to the apartment. "You come in, I'll be right there," Mariana said, pointing to the room. I saw something familiar and went ahead. An icy shiver ran through his body. Old wallpaper with yellow flowers, the same ones as in the photo. I walked into the room, and it was like I was in a nightmare. There was a green armchair with wooden arms. Opposite him is a bulky camera on a tripod. It all happened here. But there was no trace on the fabric of the chair, and there was also a closet in the room, on the door of which hung a man's suit, a white shirt, and black trousers. "Do you like this?" asked Mariana, appearing on the threshold. She had one hand behind her back. "What does all this mean? Was it some kind of production?" The girl shook her head. "No, of course not. I was dead, but you did the right thing and brought me back to life. Who sent me the photo?" I was confused, scared, and wanted all the answers immediately. Mariana's beautiful face twisted, as if she remembered something unpleasant. "Just one guy. I don't want to talk about him. But now I have to do all the same things for 3 months to finish what I started. Let me through," I said, getting ready to leave. The girl took her hand out from behind her back. There was a knife in it. "You're staying. I have to do this, you know? Are you going to kill me?" I took a step back. "Then you'll come alive again," Mariana insisted. "I will find a man for you. I will send you photos, and when he performs the ritual, you will be resurrected. See, I'm alive. It's working." "Then why do you want to kill me?" I shouted. "Why continue this?" "These are the rules. Take a look." With her free hand, the girl pulled back the collar of her t-shirt and showed me a thin wound below her neck. "It doesn't heal and it hurts terribly, but it will heal when I stick a knife in your heart." "No, don't you dare." Without taking my eyes off the knife, I retreated and thought about how to break through to the exit. "When you come back to life, you'll have to do it too." The girl walked steadily forward. "Please don't move, or it will hurt more." "Don't come any closer," I shouted and rushed to the door. Marian quickly blocked my way. I felt a sharp stab. I looked down and saw that the blade of the knife had sunk into my chest. The girl was pressing down on the handle with one hand and holding my shoulder with the other. I tried to take a breath, but I couldn't. His body instantly weakened. My vision blurred, and the girl was whispering in my ear in a gentle voice. "Like that. Be patient a little bit. It's all over now. It's like a dream. Die like you're falling asleep. Relax. Everything will be fine." I felt like I was being carried away to the dark bottom of the ocean. The pain disappeared. The light disappeared. All sounds disappeared. I died. I found an unsigned envelope in the mailbox. Just a white envelope. There was a photograph inside. Square, printed on Polaroid. There's a guy on it, pale as a sheet, dressed in a white shirt. The top 3 buttons are not fastened. The chest is open. This young man seemed to be asleep, sitting in an armchair with his head back, but there was something strange, something inanimate in his posture.